say a little on how we can help young people understand what you're talking about?
See, when we say youth, youth means humanity in the making, not yet totally conceited, not yet totally lost, still in the making. So it's a great possibility. The kind of situations we have created in societies today, particularly in the Western societies, and rapidly it is beginning to happen to the Eastern societies, there is too much talk about freedom. Freedom is not a concept. Freedom will happen to you only when your compulsiveness is gone. Today, all the things that people do compulsively, that is being labeled as freedom. I'll eat what I want, I drink what I want, I do what I want, is not happening out of choice, it is happening out of certain compulsiveness. When you label compulsiveness as freedom, you're going to get lost for sure. Right now, I think that's happened to Western societies big time, and it is beginning to happen to Eastern societies very rapidly too. This is something that we need to change in our societies, that we need to understand what a human being needs, what a child needs, what a youth needs is responsibility. That he sees that he is the maker of his life, that he has to create and craft his life the way he wants it. But right now there is too much freedom talk. Because of freedom talk, people think doing something absurd, doing something freaky is their right. I'm not saying you must be a prude, I'm not saying you have to be a conformist, but if your rebellion doesn't have a purpose, you're rebelling just for the sake of rebelling because your hormones are going crazy or you're doing something else, this is not it. Because this essential idea that people think freedom is an idea. Freedom is not an idea. Freedom is a state that you arrive at when nothing is driving you. If you sit here, you can choose what to do. Nothing is driving you. Not your body, not your mind, not social situations, nothing drives you. You can consciously act whichever way you want. Then you are free. You can only do this. That's not freedom. I can do whatever I wish. That's freedom, isn't it? So one thing that needs to happen to the youth, one thing that needs to happen to children, one thing that needs to happen to adults who bear children is they need to understand responsibility leads to freedom, but freedom leads to ruin. Freedom as a concept leads to ruin. But if one becomes free, it is the most fantastic thing. The most beautiful thing about any human being is he's become free. Freedom is the highest value. In the Eastern cultures, the highest goal in life is not God. You know, in the Hindu way of life, for example, there is no God. There is no God. You can create your own God if you want, or you can discard them if you want. Mukti or freedom or liberation is the highest goal, always. So, freedom is the greatest thing that a human being can attain to. But when you talk about it as a concept, when you talk about it as an idea, it gets totally misunderstood and it will lead to always compulsive ways of behavior. So to transcend one's compulsions, if you see one thing about the youth is a time when you're so full of energy. In terms of energy, that's the best part of your life, you're on a high drive. But the problem with youth is your intelligence gets hijacked by your hormones and you kind of get sloshed all over the place. So one of the most important things that needs to happen to children like this is, if you just teach them some simple practices, that if they just learn to sit properly, you will see. You know, when we first opened the school, we have a school called Isha Home School in the center. We started the school, and after 2 months I went to just see how the kids are. All 6-year-old children, they're sitting in the morning assembly, like this, like this, like this. I said, why are these kids like broken tops? Then I just told them, the first thing, They said, we're teaching them ABC, we're teaching them this, they're able to write sentences. I said, to hell with the sentences. First, let us stabilize them. We brought in a simple practice, a 10-minute practice. Within a month's time, all the kids are sitting like this. You come and see now our children. If you make them sit like this, they'll sit like this for 3 hours, 4 hours, unmoving. Just stable. This is freedom, that there is no compulsiveness in your body, there is no compulsiveness in your mind, there is no compulsiveness in your emotion. Now you will act out of choice. You witness them? Have you seen the Samskriti kids? They just sit like, unmoving. Man is ill only because he does not know how to be still. If you just learn to sit properly, the very fundamental of your life will change. How can that be? If I sit properly, how will my life change? It's like this. A human being is in many ways placed above various other creatures in his competence is essentially because he can perceive better than other creatures. Other creatures can perceive only what is necessary for their survival. A human being is able to perceive more than what is necessary for survival, which kind of distinguishes him from every other creature on the planet. Do you remember, maybe not you, you played with him?
Yes, we played together.
Okay. Do you remember in 70s when you had the television in your house, you're watching your favorite football match and there is one aluminum contraption up there on the house called antenna. Suddenly your television set goes boop, boop, boop. Then you climb up on the terrace and if you do like this, you won't get it. If you do like this, you won't get it. You got to get to the right place, then the world pours into your sitting room, isn't it? If you just learn to hold this body right, you can download the whole cosmos. Yes, this is what yoga means. To understand the cosmic geometry and to be in tune with that. If you just learn to sit right, everything that you ever want to know, you can know simply by sitting properly. Just learning to hold the body in right attitude, you will see your perception can be multiplied 1,000,000-fold, just like that. So, this is what needs to happen to the future generation. Why I am saying this is, we are at a very significant time in terms of human history, because for the first time, for the very first time, as human beings, we are more comfortable and have more conveniences than any other generation could ever dream of. Yes? And as a generation of people, for the first time we have the necessary capability, we have the necessary resource and necessary technology to address every human problem upon this planet, whether it's of nourishment, health, education, you name it, whatever it is. We have the resource, we have the capability, we have the technology. Only thing that's missing is human intention has not come. The necessary inclusiveness has not come in human consciousness. This has to come. This is what needs to happen to the youth of the world today, that they have to be brought into a discipline, they have to be brought into a dimension. When I say discipline, not rigidity, I'm talking about discipline as a possibility. That if this possibility is opened, youth is a tremendous possibility. Otherwise, youth will live like the garbage of humanity.
Which if you live in America like I do, you see that every day.
I spent a few months in a year in the United States, and some of the best universities, I'm talking about the top-notch universities, at least 80% of the kids, at least on weekends, they are on drugs. So,
what's wrong with that?
Nothing wrong with that. It is just that your brains will shrink. So if you don't think there's anything wrong with having a bird brain, there's nothing wrong.
But surely, if you want to go down that road, very briefly, one second. Well, no, just let me finish on that point. If you want to go down that road of drugs being a negative factor,
I'm not talking about anything being positive or negative. Every human being, what he's seeking is, he wants his life's experience to be pleasant. Somebody thinks it'll happen if he has money. Somebody thinks it'll happen if they have love. Somebody thinks it'll happen if he has knowledge. Somebody thinks it'll happen if he pops some chemicals. But everybody is looking for pleasantness. Whether you're going to the bar or to the church or to the temple, you're still seeking the same thing, your well-being. Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Every human being is seeking the same thing.
Yes.
So now the question is only this: if you're seeking well-being, did you achieve it or not? That determines whether you're successful or a failure, isn't it?